When and where it happened. The Valdivia earthquake struck on May 22, 1960 at 3:11 p.m. local time near the coastal city of Valdivia in southern Chile. Chile lies on the edge of the Nazca and South American tectonic plates, one of the most active seismic zones on Earth. These two plates constantly push against each other, and over centuries, that pressure builds up until it releases in a violent slip, an earthquake. In this case, the slip wasn't small. It stretched across nearly 1,000 kilometers, 620 miles, of the Chilean coast, a rupture so vast it released more energy than 20,000 Hiroshima bombs. The quake lasted for about 10 minutes, an eternity in seismic terms. By the time it stopped, entire towns had been flattened, coastlines had sunk, and the world's instruments had recorded a magnitude unlike any seen before. How powerful was it? The Valdivia earthquake measured 9.5 on the moment magnitude scale, which replaced the older Richter scale for very large earthquakes. To put that into perspective, the 2011 Japan earthquake was 9.1. The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake was 9.1. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake was around 7.9. Each whole number increase in magnitude means about 32 times more energy released. So, a 9.5 quake is hundreds of times stronger than even major earthquakes. Seismologists estimate that the 1960 quake released roughly 2.5 x 1023 ergs of energy, enough to shake the entire planet. In fact, it tilted Earth's axis by about 3 centimeters, 1.2 inches, and shortened the length of a day by a few microseconds. Yes, the Valdivia earthquake literally changed time itself. The immediate destruction, the shaking from the Valdivia earthquake devastated southern Chile. Cities such as Valdivia, Puerto Montt, Temuco, and Concepcion suffered catastrophic damage. Buildings crumbled, bridges collapsed, and landslides buried entire communities. In Valdivia, 40% of the houses were destroyed. In some areas, the ground dropped several meters, permanently changing the coastline. The destruction was so widespread that communication and transportation broke down almost instantly. Survivors described scenes of chaos. Streets turned into rivers as the ground split open. The air filled with dust and the sound of collapsing walls. People ran to higher ground, fearing what might come next. And they were right to, because the quake was only the beginning. The tsunami, the disaster that crossed oceans. The colossal movement of the seafloor triggered a massive tsunami, one of the largest ever recorded. Within 10 to 15 minutes, waves began pounding the Chilean coast. In some places, water walls over 25 meters, 82 feet, high crashed onto land, sweeping away everything: homes, boats, vehicles, and people. But the tsunami didn't stop there. The shock waves spread across the entire Pacific Ocean, reaching shores thousands of miles away. Impact across the Pacific. Hawaii. About 15 hours later, waves up to 10 meters, 33 feet, high struck Hilo Bay, killing 61 people and destroying over 500 homes. Japan. 22 hours after the quake, tsunami waves up to 6 meters hit Japan's coast, causing 142 deaths and widespread flooding. The Philippines, New Zealand, and Alaska also recorded significant tsunami damage. In total, the tsunami from the 1960 Chile earthquake caused deaths and destruction on 4 continents, making it one of the first truly global natural disasters of the modern age. Secondary disasters, landslides and flooding. Beyond the shaking and tsunami, the Valdivia quake unleashed secondary disasters that deepened the tragedy. A. Landslides. The violent shaking loosened mountainsides across southern Chile. Huge landslides buried villages, blocked roads, and dammed rivers. B. Lake Ringihu flooding. One of the most dramatic effects was near Lake Ringihu. Landslides blocked its outlet, creating a natural dam that threatened to burst and flood the already devastated Valdivia region. In a race against time, Chilean engineers and volunteers worked for weeks to dig channels and safely release the water, a heroic effort that prevented even greater loss of life. It was an incredible example of human resilience in the face of overwhelming natural power. The human cost. The exact number of casualties from the 1960 earthquake and tsunami varies, but estimates range between 1,000 and 6,000 deaths, with over 2 million people left homeless. In Chile, hundreds of thousands lost everything. Entire towns were wiped off the map. Yet, given the scale of the disaster, experts note that the death toll could have been far higher if not for Chile's relatively low population density in the hardest-hit areas and the quick instincts of many residents who fled to high ground after feeling the quake. Still, the economic loss was staggering, estimated at over $550 million USD in 1960, equivalent to billions today. For Chile, it was not only a human tragedy, but also a national rebuilding challenge that took years to overcome. The global scientific impact. The Valdivia earthquake became a turning point in earthquake science. Understanding subduction zones. The quake confirmed that subduction zones, where one tectonic plate slides beneath another, are capable of producing the world's most powerful earthquakes. This discovery led to new models of plate tectonics, which were just beginning to gain acceptance in the 1960s. Improved tsunami warning systems. The Trans-Pacific devastation prompted countries to establish the Pacific Tsunami Warning System, PTWS, in 1965. For the first time, nations around the Pacific Rim agreed to share seismic data and issue coordinated tsunami alerts, a system that still protects millions today. Advancing seismology. The global reach of the quake's vibrations gave scientists new data about how seismic waves travel through Earth's interior, helping refine the magnitude scale and improve earthquake-resistant engineering. In short, the 1960 event didn't just shake the ground. It shook the scientific world into action. The Valdivia earthquake's legacy in Chile. In Chile, the Valdivia earthquake became part of national memory, a story of both loss and resilience. The government launched massive rebuilding efforts, including new housing, infrastructure, and disaster preparedness systems. Over time, Chile became a global leader in earthquake engineering and emergency response. Modern Chilean buildings are among the most quake-resistant in the world, and much of that progress traces back to lessons learned in 1960. Every May 22, Chile commemorates the anniversary of the quake, not just as a remembrance of tragedy, but as a symbol of national strength and unity in the face of nature's fury. Lessons for the future. The Valdivia earthquake remains a reminder of how fragile yet resilient our societies are. Preparedness saves lives. Early warning systems, education, and drills are the difference between chaos and survival. Chile's improvements since 1960 have already saved lives in later quakes. Respect for natural forces. No technology can stop earthquakes. Only respect, awareness, and preparation can reduce their impact. Understanding how and where they strike is vital for coastal and seismic regions worldwide. The Earth is always changing. The 1960 earthquake is proof that our planet is still alive, constantly shifting, evolving, and reminding us that we live on a dynamic world. The same tectonic forces that create mountains and continents also unleash destruction. The day the Earth shook the world, the 1960 Valdivia earthquake was more than a local disaster. It was a global event, felt across oceans, and recorded in history books as the most powerful earthquake ever measured. It tore open the ground, reshaped the coast of Chile, sent tsunamis racing across the planet, and even altered the Earth's rotation. Yet amid all the destruction, it sparked advances in science, international cooperation, and human resilience. Over 6 decades later, the Valdivia quake stands as both a warning and a lesson that no matter how advanced we become, we still live at the mercy of the forces beneath our feet, and that our greatest strength lies not in stopping nature, but in learning to live wisely alongside it.